The Consumer Electronics Show is over, and finally, because I'm exhausted. It was a lot of work, a lot of steps, and just, well, a lot. But as I went through the convention, I found plenty of things that really weren't that great, and a few good things that really stood out in my mind. I want to let you know right now, this video is not sponsored. I went to CES on my own dime, so I'm going to tell you about my 9 favorite things, and not a single one of them paid me to say anything about this. I may have some affiliate links below, but they don't have any input on that either. And I bet at least 2 of them are something you haven't heard about before. Let's get started. So if you've been following the Anoraker channel very long, you've seen me review a few smart grills and smart meat thermometers, and they each had their advantages and disadvantages. The smart grills, for instance, don't have much in the way of recipe help, and the smart meat thermometers might have recipe help, but they can't really control the grill or incorporate changes, and you're stuck with whatever recipe is built in. What if you had a smart grill that was a smart meat thermometer with built-in recipe help? That's the idea behind Brisket's new grills. And this being CES 2025, that means artificial intelligence, AI, has to be involved. But in this case, it kind of seemed like a good implementation, because you could ask the Brisket app things like, hey, can you make me a recipe for these chicken wings I have with this particular brand hot sauce I have? And it would come up with something on the fly. And if you had a problem with that recipe, you could then follow up and say, no, I do not like cilantro. Cilantro tastes like soap to me. Remove that. Or even specify, but I'm gluten-free, etc. And the recipe will automatically get rewritten, and all of that fed to your grill so that your recipe and your smart grill work better together. Now, Brisket plans to release 2 major grills with this built in, and one is larger than the other and therefore more expensive than the other. And if you're a Sam's Club member, they have a 3rd grill coming to Sam's Club that is very different than the other 2, completely vastly redesigned per Sam's Club specifications, but still has that great smart grill feature along with the AI smarts to help you write recipes. This was an interesting idea overall, but I don't know how good this AI does in recipes. Anyone who's practiced with ChatGPT can tell you already, sometimes it just makes stuff up that isn't any good. But I've actually used it for recipes here and there, and it's done a decent job. So I'd be interested to try this one out. You know, it's been a long time since Microsoft had an official presence at CES, but in a way, they were back this year, or at least Microsoft accessories were back this year. I am a huge fan of ergonomic keyboards, and my first ergonomic keyboard was the Microsoft Sculpt keyboard. Now, in all honesty, I worked for Microsoft at the time. I had easy access to one, and that's why it was my first. But I did fall in love with it. It was the perfect size and shape, and I appreciated the chiclet style keys because I just wasn't ready for mechanical keys yet. When my Sculpt's dongle broke, I was incredibly sad because you couldn't just replace the dongle. It was dumb. And eventually, Microsoft stopped making that keyboard, and some of its mice and other accessories as well. But Ncase is here to bring back the Microsoft accessories of old, including the Sculpt style keyboard. Yeah, I was super excited to see it. It looks almost exactly the same. It even comes in similar boxes. Ncase is actually building these with a license from Microsoft, so they are a one-to-one form factor. You get a few modern touches like better connections now, and unfortunately, the Copilot key, but Microsoft would have done that too if they were still making the thing. But most importantly, these accessories are back. And if you liked Microsoft accessories the way I did, if you liked the Sculpt keyboard the way I did, it looks like it's just as good. In my few seconds with one, it felt just the same. Again, I want more time with one to be sure that they haven't changed much, but I was super stoked and happy because I missed these keyboards, these mice, so very much. Here's a secret about smart homes. If you're just getting into one, there's one smart home device you should buy before any other, assuming you're allowed to at all, and that is a smart lock. And I'm serious, smart locks will change the way you access your home, essentially. It means you can get rid of your key. It means that when your hands are full, you can get in your house easier. It means that when you need to share access to your home to whether it be a maid or your grandparents watching children or whatever it might be, you can easily hand out a code or access. Trust me when I say it's one of the easier things you can install in your home, and yet still makes one of the hugest difference in truly making a new smart home. I've had one installed on my house for years and years and years, and I've only run into one big problem. On my current smart lock, you can't tell whether the door is locked or not at the moment. So when you walk up to it, you think, okay, I need to unlock the door. You've forgotten that you just stepped out like 5 seconds ago. It hasn't relocked yet. You put in your code and that locks the door. And then you got to put in your code again to unlock the door. It's more frustrating than it sounds. And I do it, my wife does it, my son does it, and we all go, ah, when we accidentally lock the door while trying to unlock the door because you just can't tell. Kwikset has a new Halo Wi-Fi smart lock. That's right, it does Wi-Fi, but also it's Matter compatible. But one of my favorite things about this smart lock is it has a status light. When you touch the Kwikset lock to wake it up and punch in your code, it will immediately tell you if it's currently locked or unlocked, which if you ever have that moment of, did I lock the door? You can look back, touch real quick and be sure, for one, or check the app. But for two, when you've just stepped out to take a trash out and you come right back and you start to forget and put in the code that's going to lock the door, you'll see the status and stop yourself and get to walk right in. It is one of those quality of life updates that just make me go, why? Oh, why didn't someone do this sooner? And that's the whole point of smart home devices. These aren't supposed to be something that everyone absolutely needs. They're about adding to your quality of life. And this is just the fix I've been waiting for. But speaking of smart homes, while I am a tech-forward person, and so is much of my family, not everyone in the world is, and not everyone in my family is. Some people don't trust voice commands, some people don't trust smart homes, and some people just can't remember how things work. What if you had something easier? What if you are having trouble getting around anyways, or having trouble speaking anyways, or your hands aren't working as good as they used to be anyways, and you just need an easier way to turn on and off your lights. But installing a smart light is just beyond your capability, let alone then get the voice controls in. The Lotus Smart Ring is a beautiful and brilliant little device. You start by putting a cover over top of your light switch, and the install is easy as and it's there. It's magnetically attached through the screws that are already in your light switch. And this has a little toggle in it that can flip the light switch up and down. That's that end of it. Then you wear a ring with a little button, and anytime you want to turn the light on and off in a room, you just point at the light switch and click a button on your ring. The great thing about that being, if you wear a ring, you don't take it off, so you never have to worry about finding it. You don't have to worry about remembering the right command. You don't have to worry about, how do I use this thing? Do I know what to say? Do I know what to do? It's as simple as point and click. In fact, if you know how to use a TV remote, you know how to use the Lotus Ring. It works in the same exact technology, infrared, which seems outdated, but the whole point in here is to keep this easy to install and easy to use. And why not use existing technology that everyone's already familiar with? If there's one problem with Lotus Ring right now, it's the cost. A starter kit with 3 of the light switch covers and 1 ring is $350. And well, if you need to control more of your room, that's just going to really add up fast. But I really like this idea. I really like how simple it is to set up. And it seems like it could potentially be repairable. I haven't been able to see inside the light switch cover yet, but it looks like some basic toggling parts. And most importantly, it's the kind of thing I really feel like I could give to like my parents or my grandparents and say, here's how to use it, and they would just get it. And that is worth every penny in the box. All right, let me tell you some ridiculous about my house. In my home, I have a lot of very large large screens, and that's due to my life as a YouTuber and tech reviewer for the past 5 or 6 years. So in my basement, for instance, I've got a 100-inch projection screen system going for a downstairs theater, and we actually don't use it that much because in my bedroom I've got an 80-inch TV, and in my living room I've got a 120-inch projection system with the full 7.1 surround sound. But you know what the problem is here? To get the ultimate epic setup that I have in my living room, I had to make room for a great big huge screen, which was just gonna look ugly. So I have a floor rising screen mounted to the wall, but then I had to connect a sound system to it. And you know what that involved? That involved running cords from my receiver over to my projector, over to everything else in the room. And I didn't want an ugly receiver at the front of my living room just mucking up the place and all these cords everywhere. So I had to go through a ton of effort to hide wires and move them up the wall and along the ceiling and down another wall to a receiver and all my game systems in one place. And it was a lot. Xgimi has something that is way easier. They have an ultra short throw projector, a lot like mine, but smaller and able to be closer to a wall. And this year at CES, they showed off a new floor rising screen with built-in speakers and subwoofer. And it sounded really fantastic. I'd give you more audio, but what they played would get me copyright struck in 5 seconds flat. But it really looked good. The nice thing about ultra short throw projectors is that you can pair them with what's called an ambient light rejecting screen. I have one of those. And how that works is light that comes straight at the screen gets blocked and not received by the screen, whereas light that's coming up from the sharp angle, like the projector right in front of it, will be received. And so you can actually use this projector and screen system in a bright, sunny room and still have pretty good clarity. Is a darker room better? Of course, but is a bright room perfectly fine? Yes, it is. In fact, in my living room, I've got my system across from a large window and I can still use it during the day. Xgimi showed us their version, which was a 100-inch screen, and they opened up the bright windows in Las Vegas and we could still see things bright as day. And they're adding a few other features just to make this even better. For instance, a partially open mode that turns your system into a nice little digital fireplace that's wider than any real fireplace would ever be. They even have some sound effects going for that, although they weren't finalized when we got to hear them, and it didn't sound that great, to be honest. So I'm hoping the finalized fireplace sound effects do sound better. But this was an impressive little demo, and it made me realize kind of what I've been missing, because here's the honest truth about my complicated stereo system. I used the wrong wires. They're too thick, and so they don't connect to my stereo correctly. And so if the sound gets too loud, well, the whole stereo goes into a protection mode and I lose all my sound. And guess what? Most movies do that. Whether it be the new Super Mario movie at the beginning, or we tried to watch Batman Begins the other day, it didn't work. I had to rewire everything. Or I could have a floor rising screen with built-in speakers, and that seems way easier. Check out Xgimi and see what you think. Kind of getting back to smart homes a bit. Again, the whole point of smart homes is to give you some quality of life updates. They're not things that everyone absolutely needs or can be perfectly justified. Realistically, sure, I can get up and hit a light switch, but being able to say to turn off the lights is much easier, right? Realistically, I can vacuum my own floors, but having a robot vacuum can make life easier if it can do that while you're doing something else. Switchbot is taking things a little bit further. They introduced a sort of robot vacuum. It was a robot vacuum that does more than just vacuum thanks to add-on modules. This produces a finalized robot that can go room to room to room, because the base of it is that robot vacuum, and do things like purify the air in every room of your home. Or with a little table add-on, bring a drink. If you're in the kitchen, you've got the Switchbot right there, put the drink on top of it, say head to the living room, and it will take the drink over to the living room where someone else can pick it up. Again, Is that life-changing or necessary? No. Is it kind of fun and awesome? Absolutely. And I like that they were smart about this. You've probably seen the Astro robot from Amazon that kind of tried to be human-esque-ish with a face and so forth, but it couldn't do anything useful like, I don't know, hand you a drink. The Switchbot version of it may not have as much personality in a way, but it sounds way more useful when it can purify the air in your house or bring you a drink or, I don't know, haul around your cute stuffed toy like they were showing off. What I like most about it is just buy the pieces you want. This has been Switchbot's ethos for a while. They started out as just a switch you put on your light switch that would press a button, and they've added on to little bits and pieces that you can kind of piecemeal your own smart home, and this is more of that. I like what they're doing here, and I want to test it out too. Now, just like the Lotus Ring, this next one I think flew way under the radar at CES this year. In fact, I didn't find it. My friends at iFixit told me about it, and I went and looked and tried it out. The Nua pen tries to take an old concept and actually make it finally work. Have you ever seen a digital pen, one that allows you to write on paper and then will automatically digitize your notes and send it to an app? A lot of those work off a really thick pen and then special paper that have dot matrix kind of built into them. And they're kind of not great to use because one, they're uncomfortable to hold, but two, you have to buy the dot matrix pages and those are overpriced and kind of expensive. And so a lot of people don't end up sticking with it. The Nua pen doesn't do that at all. It is a much more ergonomic pen with cameras built into the tip. So it's actually able to look at what you're writing and digitize it on the fly and send it to their app. No special paper needed. And it's not that much thicker than a real pen. I tried it out real quick and I had to be honest on a couple points. One, CES network is really trash. There is just no good Wi-Fi anywhere at Consumer Electronics Show. So they were having trouble just getting that part of it to work because this needs to reach out to a network, upload what it sees, and then it has to get to the app and get down to you. That took a few minutes, but I suspect if we were on a better network, it would have been much faster. But also, I gave it a little bit of a curveball. I wrote the word Anoraker and then I threw in a quick underline and didn't know what to do with that underline, but they immediately were able to submit that as a problem to their servers to be examined by a human for correction later, which is a good thing. What I liked about it most, what caught my attention was iFixit came to me and they explained this to me. The makers of the Nua pen decided that if they were ever to be torn apart by iFixit, they would want to get a 10 out of 10 score. So they have designed this thing for repairability. Not only do you not need any special kind of paper, you don't even need a special kind of ink cartridge. It uses standard pen ink cartridges. And you can take this thing fully apart and assuming you can get the parts, replace them. I do say assuming because these are still custom circuit boards and custom cameras that you're just not going to go to like Best Buy and buy. So assuming they provide those parts, which seems to be their intention since they made it so easy to take apart, you should be able to repair this thing and keep it going when it stops working right. That is really exciting in my book. I love the idea. It's a great way to take notes and have them in your phone. I currently use a Remarkable for that, and this seems a lot more accessible because you don't have to carry around a whole specific tablet. It's a flexible notebook and a small pen. The only thing it won't do is improve your trash handwriting because it didn't help with mine, but at least you can digitize your notes and have them on the go. I like this one. If you went to the TCL booth, you probably saw their weird giant robot and their equally giant 98-inch TVs, which put even my 80-inch TV to the shame. But that's not the thing that caught my attention. I really like their Nxtpaper phone and tablet. The tablet was technically the new thing the year. The phone is not new, but just getting to sit down and play with these things, it was kind of mind-opening. It's when you ever had that moment where someone just has a great idea and it's like, boom, an epiphany. That's what happened here. Nxtpaper tablets and phones have a neat trick. On a regular basis, they look like an everyday mid-range tablet or mid-range phone, and they're fine. But press a little button on the side and select an option, and it instantly turns into an e-reader or a color e-reader. Or at least that's what it looks like, right? It's not exactly the same technology as an e-reader uses, but it's so very close. Whatever they're doing here gets it to that kind of look that's so easy on the eyes. And because they're using less power to do all this, instantly gives it longer battery life. When I tried this out on the phone, it didn't give me a battery estimate when I was in regular mode. But when I went over to the black and white e-reader mode, it promised me a battery life that would just, it just seems impossible for a phone. And that's because of this e-reader-like technology. And yes, the phone's not new, the tablet is, but think about that for a moment. Have you ever traveled and carried both your iPad and your Kindle? And that's that much more weight, that much more to keep an eye on, that much more to worry about losing, that much more to complicate your travels. What if you could have an iPad that also is a Kindle? That's the idea here. The little Nxtpaper tablet is an Android tablet, and okay, therefore, you're kind of stuck with Android tablet apps, which aren't as good as iPad apps. But it also can be a Kindle, because Kindle is in the Play Store. Now, if you don't happen to need specific iOS-only tablet apps, if what's on the Google Play Store is good enough, this is a great solution to be able to carry around just one device for two purposes. Your general use tablet, watch some Netflix, check your email, or read a book and not hurt your eyes and get great battery life. It's just one of those really super great ideas that I gotta imagine was really hard to pull off. And it's kind of a fidget toy too, because I was having a lot of fun switching back and forth between regular tablet mode and e-reader mode, regular smartphone and e-reader. And the prices, while they weren't ready to tell us the full pricing on everything, based on what we've seen earlier, it's gonna be really, really affordable. That's even better. 2 devices for the price of less than 1. I can't wait to see more. While I was at CES 2025, I tried on lots and lots and lots of smart glasses like these and those and a few more of these and a couple of the, it was just so many smart glasses. And I'm gonna be honest with you, most of them weren't ready for prime time. Most of them weren't that comfortable. And the best of the best often tried to do too much. I liked my time with Xreal, for instance. They showed off some of their capabilities with their current ones. I didn't get to try out the new next gen, unfortunately, but they showed off their last gen, the current ones that anyone can buy. And at one point, they tried to show me how you could watch a great, big, expansive TV. And you know what the problem was? I couldn't see all of that great, big, expansive TV at once. It's like if you had this big a TV in front of you and you could only see this portion of it at any one time. And what's the point then? I think sometimes less is more. And so the glasses that I tend to go towards also embrace that ethos. Now, I tried out Halliday glasses, but I did not like those because while they tried to embrace less is more, it had a moving little display that got up here and I could never get it to the right position. So that needs more work. No, the smart glasses I liked the most, even though I didn't get to fully try out everything because the network wasn't agreeing with us that day, was Even Reality smart glasses, because they are embracing that just what you need and nothing more. These aren't true augmented reality glasses. I should tell you that right now. You're not going to watch movies or play games or anything along those lines. They're more like enhanced notification glasses. So just up out of view slightly, you'll be able to see things like notifications from your smartphone, although I imagine iOS is going to give them all kinds of issues there, or weather updates, or one of my favorite options was a teleprompter. I use a teleprompter for these videos, but also sometimes I could just, use some help in real life. Imagine if you could load up some names of people, or if you just had that reminder of what their names were, you'd know who they were and you'd be able to say it. That could happen. You could have an in real life teleprompter that almost no one could see. Well, sort of. If you get the right angle, you can kind of see the words coming in here. But it was beautiful and simple and clear and easy. And that's honestly sometimes the best way to approach tech. And because they went that route, the even reality glasses look pretty much like standard glasses. Okay, the round pair probably stand out a bit because most people don't go with that perfect round pair, but they've got a new more squared offset that, okay, aren't exactly like the average glasses, but they're not thick, they're not chunky, they're not heavy. Basically, you could probably pass them off as glasses and people think you might have just an odd style, but they might not think he's wearing smart glasses, not unless they happen to get that right angle where some words popped in. I was really impressed with just how light and comfortable they were and how clear the text was before my eyes and how easy it was to use, at least in the network broken demonstration that I had. I really want to put these through their paces. I really want to, well, just have a pair. They're a little expensive, but all smart glasses are right now. And they are probably, out of all the smart glasses I've tried for an augmented reality kind of, you can see stuff area, my favorite so far. At least until I get more time with them. That's it for now, but please subscribe to the channel. We're growing fast. And hey, by the way, I've started up a new Discord if you have any questions or thoughts or comments. So join the link below. And until next time, bye.